Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, you guys have been requesting a lot lately, like a lot of my older videos where I did Your Skin But Better, natural and fresh faced, soft glowy complexion, and now that we're moving into January, which is all about complexion and, living your best life through your best skin, new year, new me, and all of that fun stuff, that is exactly what we're gonna do today. Like, you could still see my skin through my complexion products. This is super lightweight. It barely feels like I have anything on, and that is totally the point. So if you want to see how we got this super easy look today, make sure to keep on watching. Don't forget to subscribe because I upload every other day, and that'll be the best way to stay up to date on all the fun stuff I'm posting. And if this is something you're into, make sure to stay tuned. So you guys already saw the intro, so you know what we're doing today, but jumping right in, I do want this to be very breathable, very lightweight, very Your Skin But Better. So I'm going to be focusing on like perfect complexion and really not a lot else, just to make sure that everything looks super flawless and very new year, new you, Your Skin But Better, all of those things. Because again, I got a lot of requests to do an updated version of my Your Skin But Better. So before I put that on, I should probably prime. I'm going to start with a little bit of the Pixi Vitamin C Balancing Face Oil. I like this because it's a dry oil, but it's still hydrating. So it gives the skin a nice, healthy boost of glow. Plus, it just keeps you looking a little bit more radiant throughout the day. Obviously, I'm not going for like super shiny, but we still do want to make sure that there's a nice, healthy glow everywhere. And once that sinks in, I'm going to go in with a little bit of the Farsali Skin Tune Blur, because this is going to help to smooth and blur the skin. Basically everywhere where I have emphasized pores or texture, this will help to downplay some of that. And you don't need a lot of primer because I am going in with the Beauty For Real MVP, which is a tinted moisturizer, concealer, SPF, primer, basically all in one. So it doesn't need a lot of help, but I do like to give it a little bit. Now, normally I would take that on a brush and spread that really thin around the face and then go in with a sponge. Just shot water somewhere. Instead, today I'm going to go right in on the back of the sponge because on a day where I want a lot less coverage, I really just want to strategically place it where I feel like I need it. So I'm going to take a little bit on the tip of the sponge. This will not be enough. I'm going to need more. And I'm going to just take that on the forehead, chin, and nose. And pulling my mirror a little closer, I'm just going to really concentrate that in the center of the face. This is just to even out the complexion. And then once I feel like I have a lot of coverage here, I will build it up slightly and then feather it lightly toward the outside of the face. I really don't want a lot of product everywhere. I just want to focus it where I need it, which again will be the center of the face. And then as I blend it out, you'll notice I'll take a little bit onto the perimeters. Focus it on the nose and then a little bit onto the cheeks. Focus it on the chin, and then a little bit on the jaw. And now that that's on, you can definitely still see my skin through. I'm going to go into the cap and just take the other side of my sponge, and we're going to brighten the under eye just ever so slightly. And then, center of the face, tip of the nose, Cupid's bow and chin, just to add a little extra brightness. And once we've added that brightness to the under eye, and we've really emphasized our face shape, then we go in with powder, which I'm going to go in with a non-tinted translucent powder. This is the Complex Couture, which came in my Ipsy. And I'm going to take that on a big, fluffy brush, and I'm just going to pat that everywhere. And I am taking that on a base blue brush that is super dense. It almost feels like a powder puff. All right, now that we have the skin perfected, and like there's still a little bit of dimension left. On the days I do like Your Skin But Better, I tend to not shave because a little bit of stubble coming through just kind of helps for everything to literally look like my skin and less makeup-y. So that's why today it's a little bit less overdone. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab a cream palette. This is from Natasha Denona. It is the Bloom Blush and Glow palette. I'm going to be using this for blush and highlight. So before I pack that on though, I do want to throw some bronzer on. And because I want it to be a nice, like, diffused, glowy, bronzy look, I'm going to go into the Il Makiage Mineral Baked Bronzer because it's nice and warm, but a little bit glowy. It doesn't get too matte, so it doesn't look fake on the skin. One of the biggest tips for, like, the Your Skin But Better thing is making sure that you're choosing products that add dimension and warmth, but still have a little bit of shine to them. Skin is not naturally matte. It naturally has, a little bit of glow, which gives you a little emphasis on texture and tone. So by making sure the bronzer you're picking has a little bit of that shine to it, it will just help everything to look more natural. And once that's on, notice we didn't go overboard. It doesn't look super, super bronzy. It doesn't look like we've caked on any makeup, but it definitely just adds a little bit of that warmth to the perimeters of the face so that everything looks a little bit more shaped. That way, when I go in with the blush and the highlight, it'll just kind of help to pull everything together. So you do want to make sure you've blended out any edges and make sure everything looks good. Now going into that blush palette, I'm going to take the cream blush shade up here on the tip of my sponge, and we're just going to add a little bit to the apples of the cheeks. And see how that just gives you a little bit of a flush? It's still very natural. I know that color looks like it's going to be very dark, but surprisingly it's not. So you can always build it up if you want a little bit more, and then with the clean side of your sponge, just pat it out. Make sure it's blended in nicely so it doesn't get overpowering. And then you're nice and flushed and rosy and cheeky. Then I'm going to take that same sponge but flip to the flat side, and I'm going to go into this is the Cream Glow Base, which is a cream highlighter base. And I'm going to take a little bit of that and just press it on the highest points of the face, just on that cheekbone. And then with whatever's left, on the Cupid's bow. Once again, other side of the sponge, just blend it all together. And then just to seal it all in, I'm going to take the Duo Glow, which is almost a blush but not really a blush, and I'm going to take a tiny bit on my blush brush and just pat that over the apples of the cheeks to give myself a light amount of glow to the blush, and then kind of blend that over everything. Then switching to a smaller highlighting brush, I'm going to go into the Glow Extreme, and we're going to just hit up the highest point of the cheek, and then blend that over the apple of the cheek as well, and into the brow. And that's just going to give you that high orbital bone glow. As always, whenever you put your highlighter on, switch back to your blush brush, and just pull it down and blend it out. That way it looks a little bit softer, and so you don't have that stripe of highlight on the cheeks. And now that that's in, we just want to perfect. So I'm going to go back into a tiny amount of the pressed powder. The loose powder. And I'm taking that on a very fluffy Sigma brush. And I am just going to take that on the under eye area, the center of the forehead, and then under the blush on my chin and cheeks. Basically everywhere we didn't blush, because that's just going to help it look a little bit more sculpted. And then when there's a tiny bit of nothing left on your brush, then lightly set down the cheek. You want to set it down just enough that it's not going to budge or go anywhere, but not so much that you cover up the glow. Next, grabbing a setting spray. This is the Skindinavia finishing spray. I'm just going to lightly mist the face. And then one last time, back to the sponge. Just pressing everything into the skin. This is going to make it look like it is your skin but better, and not a layer of makeup sitting on top of the skin. All right, you guys have seen me do my brows a million times, so I'm going to go prime my eyelids, throw on my brows, and curl my eyelashes, and I'll be right back. All right, we are back. I primed my lids, threw on a quick brow, and curled my lashes so we can jump into everything else. Now, when I do this like Your Skin But Better, I really like to go super light on the eyes. So all I'm going to do is grab a fluffy crease brush. This is the Makeup Shack T46. You can grab any neutral shadow or contour shade you want. I'm actually just going to grab a matte bronzer. This is the Shady Biz bronzer from Fenty, which just happens to work for me for that like perfect neutral crease shade. And I'm going to dust that just around my crease. And I'm actually going to go above the socket just because it will add some definition. But whenever I go into a look like this where I want something really barefaced and simple, I do try and make sure that my eyes look like they have definition, but I don't want to do like a full-on eyeshadow look. And see the difference a little bronzer makes? It just kind of shapes the eye a bit more. Now we're going to do a tiny bit more than just bronzer, but not by much. So we're just going to do the same thing on the other eye. That same brush, we're just going to give a tiny wash of color on the lower lash. And even though we're going light, we still do want to define the eye. So I'm going to take the Whiskey eyeliner. It's a really like soft brown. So I'm going to take that in my waterline and I'm going to put it super tight to the waterline, but I'm going to put on enough so that when I press my eyes, it'll transfer a little bit. I don't want a whole lot though. And then while it's still wet, I'm just going to close my eye gently. This doesn't take a lot, and once it dries down, it stays put. But I want to transfer just a tiny bit to the top, which I just did, so that the eyes just have a little bit more shape to them. With the tip of a pencil brush, I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of that brown and just flare it out slightly. Now, I'm not making a wing with that, but I do want to add a tiny wing shape just to kind of pull the eye up a little bit since I'm not going in with a ton of shadow. All right, I am going to throw on a lash because even though I want it to be like very natural, because I'm doing nothing else, I think mascara is going to be a little bit too underwhelming. So I'm going to go throw on this pair of lashes also from Base Blue. If I find a style, they are called the Flying Lashes in Tree Pie. And I'm going to go pull those on and I will be right back. Okay, so my camera wasn't recording, but all I did was throw on a little bit of a neutral lip liner and the Fussy Gloss from Fenty, which is still one of my favorites. And this is the finished look. My skin is breathable. I can still see all beauty marks, everything. I can see my skin crystal clear through the complexion, which means it's super lightweight. Your Skin But Better, which in my opinion is perfect for the new year. Obviously, if you want something a little softer, you can do just mascara instead of lashes. I did also pop a little highlight on the inner corner because I felt a little naked without it, but this is it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. As always, if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe because I upload every other day, and that'll be the best way to stay up to date on all the fun stuff I'm posting. So thank you guys again, and I will see you next time. Bye!